Hello, what we're going to be doing in this video is just a continuation of 4.9 building complex input screens. And what we're going to be implementing is the capability for a user to go ahead and select a room type. So the first thing we need to do is we need to add an array of room types as a type property on our room type. So let me just go ahead and pause the video and I will add that code in. Okay, I've gone ahead and I've added an array called all. It holds the various room types, so we have an ID, the name of the room, the short name, and the price of the room. So those are the three room types that the user will be able to go ahead and select. So what we need to do next is we need to add a new table view controller that will display the room choices and allow the staff to collect the guest choice. So let me go ahead into my main storyboard, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a table view controller. I'll just go ahead and drop it in over to the right, and what I'm going to do next is I am going to add my Swift file that we're going to write the code to implement this. So it is a new file, and it's a Cocoa Touch class, and what it's going to be called is select room type table view controller. So I will go ahead and click on next and then click on create. So now our class shows up. The last thing I need to do is I need to go back into my main storyboard and associate my new table view with that class. So it is my select room table view, so we've gone ahead and we've set that up. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up our prototype cell. So we're going to change its style. So let me go into that table view cell, go ahead and click on it, and I will change the style to a right detail. And after I go ahead and change it to a right detail, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set its identifier to the room type cell, and then I need to implement the data source and use the newly created array in the room type class to populate the table view. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to go ahead and pause the video and add that code in, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it. Okay, so what I've done in my select room table view controller is I've set the number of sections to 1, and then the number of rows in the section, it will just be the count of our room type all array. And then what we're doing in this next section is we're just dequeuing the reusable cells and then specifying our room type cell where we're going to go ahead and display that in. So in our text, we're going to display the room type, and then in our detailed text label, we'll go ahead and display the price of the room. So what I'm going to do next is I need to go into my storyboard. Let me just do a Command S here. Let me go back into my storyboard, and what I want to do is I want to move this arrow over basically so what'll happen is that this designates our first view controller, so when we run the app we'll actually see our table view that we've just added being populated. So let me go ahead and click on run. Okay, so as you can see, our table view came up and it lists the room on the left and then the price on the right. So it looks to me like that table view is working correctly. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go back into our select room type table view controller, and we're going to go ahead and add logic to configure the cell's accessory type. So if the room type for the row is equal to the selected room type, the accessory type will be a check mark. If not, the accessory type is none. So let me go into my cell for row at. Go ahead and add that code. So we're checking. Oh, and then the other thing I need to do is I actually need to go up on top and add my var for room type, which will be an optional room type. So there we go. So now we've added that in. So we will go ahead and rerun our app and see what happens. Okay, so we've gone ahead. The app actually comes up, and it looks like my functionality is not working. So let me just do a Command Q here really quick. And we will go back in and we will go ahead and actually let me pause the video and I will check to see why that is not working. Okay, so that was a simple fix. I got ahead of myself in the instructions. What we needed to do is we needed to go ahead and implement the did select row at, so that we would deselect any row, and then we would go ahead and specify the room type that the user had selected. So now we can go ahead and actually run our app and sees what happens next. Okay, so I'll click on a king, click on a penthouse suite, and click on two queens. So the user is able to select one of the room types, and when they select another one, the other one is deselected. So that looks like it is working as designed. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and work on the communication section next. So once the selection has been made, we'll need to pass the guest room choice back to the main table view controller. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a custom protocol. So let me go into my select room controller, and I will go ahead and add the code to do that, and I'll pause the video and then we can talk about the code. Okay, so I've gone in, I've added my protocol. The function is called did select, and it'll be the room type. And down below I've declared var that we can hold whoever's going to be the delegate for the protocol. And down below, we make a call what type of room the delegate did select. So what we need to do next is we need to go, we'll add our select room type table view controller to the app's navigation hierarchy, displaying the view controller when the user taps the associated cell. So I need to go into my add registration table view controller, and what I need to do is I need to add a new section. So let me go ahead and expand this into my main storyboard, and we need to add our last section down below. And I will delete and delete, so we only need one row. So let me click on the table view cell. What it's going to be is it's going to be right detail, and then in my title it'll be I'll set that to room type. Okay, I've added that in. So, and then the detail label will be used to display the guest choice. And then the other thing I need to do is I need to go ahead and set the accessory to disclosure indicator. And basically what that does is that when we go ahead and actually click on that, oh, I messed this up, didn't I? Okay, I think I am actually in the wrong table view. So let me go ahead and scratch that. And I will go ahead and change that back to my label. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to do that. I clicked on the wrong cell, so now I'm in the right cell. So I can go ahead and change that to room type. And then what I need to do is I need to change my accessory to disclosure indicator. So now when the user clicks on that, that'll take them to the next screen. Will take them to where they can go ahead and select select the room type. And then I need to go into my actual code and I need to add an outlet, and from my room type label, which will be my detail. So let me go ahead and add. And what I need to do is I need to go ahead and set that as my room type label, and then go ahead and connect that so that will actually hold the room type that they selected. And I need to add a property up at the top that will hold the room type that they did select. Okay, so now we need to add a function to update the room type labels, and then we need to add a call to the update room type function in our view did load. So I will go ahead and add that in, and then we will go ahead and I will pause the video to do that, and then we'll go ahead and talk about it. Okay, I've added the code, and after I added a code, I ran into an error. So basically, when I connected that outlet, I must have clicked on the table view cell instead of the actual room type label. So what I need to do is I need to go back into my main storyboard, and I need to correct that. So if I go ahead and select my room type, my table section, and my room type label, and if I scroll over, I need to delete that outlet that I created. And then what I need to do is I need to make sure that I've selected my actual detail when I add that outlet. So let me go back in and drag from my detail over and add that in, and let me cancel that. Before I do that, let me just delete it out of the code, and then now I can go ahead and drag that in. And what we're going to call that is our room type label, and we will go ahead and connect it. So now let me see here, that should eliminate the errors that I was seeing. So let me just go ahead and bring up the view controller up. So basically, if we go down to our update room type, what we're doing is we're just checking to see if they selected a room type. If they did, then we're going to add that name, and that if they did not select it, then we'll just go ahead and specify not set in that label. So now what we need to do is we need to conform to the custom protocol that we set up for the select room type table view controller and implement the required method. So what I'm going to do next is I will go up to the top here and we will implement the protocol, and it will be select room type delegate after I've selected that, and then after that I need to go in and I need to implement the function. So I'll just click on Fix. And what we're going to do in the function then is, let me get into the code. We'll just type in self.roomType equals our room type, and then we will go ahead and call the update room type function that we just implemented. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've updated that. So now what we're going to need to do is to add a show segue from the room type cell to our select room type table view controller. So we'll go back into our main storyboard and we'll go from our room type cell, and then we'll go ahead and connect to our table view controller, and it'll be a show segue. And then what I want to do is I want to go ahead and make sure I name it. And what we're going to call the identifier is select room type. Oh, make sure I spell that right. Okay, so we've updated that, and then what we need to do is we need to go into and update our initial view controller. So I'll drag that back to our navigation controller, and then I need to go ahead in our add registration table view controller. I need to implement the prepare method. So let me pause the video. I'll implement that. Okay, I've gone ahead and implemented the final code. So if we look at our prepare method, we're just going to set our segue identifier to a select room type, and then we'll go ahead and specify our destination view controller, cast it to a select room type table view controller, and then our destination view controller will set the delegate to the self, and then the room type will go ahead and prepare that information. So what I need to do, so what we've done when we've implemented our communication protocol, the user taps a cell to make a selection, triggering the did select row. The table view method did select row at calls the delegate method did select using two things: the receiver stored in the delegate property, our add registration table view controller instance, and the index path to the selected row type. which will be used as the parameter of our didSelect method. And then in the add registration table view controller, the didSelect method provides access to the room type parameter and updates the add registration table view controller property that's holding the selected room type. This is the implementation of the method called in step 2. The other thing I've done is I've gone in and I've made sure that when we select a room choice that it gets displayed when we hit the Done button. So I will go ahead and run the app. And let me go ahead and enter some information. And I will go ahead, select a check-in date. So I'll leave the checkout date as the next day, decrease that to 1. And then now I'll select my room, penthouse suite, click on my root view controller, and then I'll click on Done. Oh, and I think what I did was that is not my instance that I'm actually running. So let me kick off my instance here. Okay, so now finally we get that up. We'll select the king, go back, click on our Done button, and down below we actually see the information has been passed back in. So what we're going to do next is we're going to use the enter data to generate our model objects. So that will be coming up in the next video.